This will be a general reading on the topic of when to stop and when to go, and all the places in between that we may not know. So let's go. Let's give this a shot, because I'm intrigued. When is best to stop and when is best to go, and how is a good way of being able to figure out a good time to stop before being forced to stop by the universe, or being or crashing or exploding, as the Empress and Queen of Swords absolutely explodes out the deck. When's a time that is, what's the warning signs, and it looks like Spirit's saying the warning time is when the intuition gets kind of manifested into a Queen of Swords energy, which is very much like expressing what you want, what you feel, without I don't know why I'm doing this, but expressing what you want to do without conviction. So as well, reading it in a better polarity, I would say the Empress and Queen of Swords is just saying that if you want to kind of stop in a way that's not going to hurt yourself or others, i.e. crash, train crash, then you need to work with the Queen of Swords energy a little bit more, and not be afraid to be like, hold up, let's put the brakes on for a second. I need some alone time. And then Five of Cups. Then that's the time when we turn around and see those two cups that are still standing after obsessing. The problem is, the longer you obsess over those three cups that are fallen over, you just kind of I validate that experience, but I feel like it can kind of, if we're talking about five of Cups in the negative polarity, it can be very much obsessing over those lost cups, those lost opportunities, that lost feeling that was once there, now for some reason isn't, and you're like, why is it not there? I want to get back to that space. But you can't see the space behind you that is the Two of Cups still standing. Three of Swords, betrayal, and self-betrayal even on some levels. Okay, well, let's see some more positive polarity stuff about about this kind of shenanigans. We got Queen of Swords and Empress, which is a very clear message of being discerning and expressing that discernment in a way that can be heard and felt by others, no matter, not in a way that is hard or too harsh, but just in a way that is honest and not afraid to hold back. So can we get more on this energy, Spirit? Because I know I certainly have trouble with this kind of energy sometimes, and I know that it's easier said than done, being able to stay in this, especially when you're feeling tender, and obviously when you're stepping back or you're about to have a train crash, then it can be you can be feeling tender, and sometimes that's the thing that actually just means that you carry on going even further and do crash. So we get the Hangman. Anything else, Spirit? Very much, what's this card that's flipped the wrong way around? And the Emperor. The Hangman and the Emperor, so we're very much like, validate your perceived difference from others. When you step back, it's most likely because of the fact there's a clash, or there's some sort of, either with the universe or with someone else or with a group of people, there's a feeling of friction, or even with your story, your art, your music, whatever it is that you're doing creatively, there's a clash. So step back, go into the Emperor energy. You are divine. You are the Emperor. You are what you are. And that's great. Sit in that energy. Sit in that purity and that serenity of you, of just you and the universe. That lovely blue energy of what I would call almost like death, in a good way, you know, lying down, Four of Swords energy, into the peace, into the tranquility, into the stillness, into the oneness. That is where you'll find your pot of gold. You know what I mean, though? Like, that is where you'll find your fulfillment, to be able to get yourself back going again, to get the train back moving. Because we don't want a train that stops for nothing and no one. We want a train that stops at all the stops. Yeah, 10 of Cups, all the emotions. We want a train that can stop for all the emotions, all the feelings. And is also will stop for everyone, you know, won't run over anyone if someone's in the way, because of its own kind of issues that it's going through. Yeah, okay. I'm liking this. Yes, I'm liking this a lot. What else then about this train that stops for nothing and no one? How can we kind of ground the energy a little bit, Spirit, when it comes to being the regional train and not the express train, shall we say? The regional line. Ace of Cups. Ground into that new emotion, like I said, the serenity, the peace, and then work from there. Okay, I got you, Spirit. I got you. Let's do that. Let's ground into that energy for a second. Let's do a nice cleansing breath. Are you ready? All right, let's go. Maybe have a thing that, you know, like this is something that I do, but have some, I like to make funny noises sometimes to ground myself, you know, like to kind of embody like a spirit animal, or kind of some sort of spirit being, you know, or even just be a bit childish, you know, take things a bit less seriously for a second, and go, wow, wow, do some weird noises just for the sake of it, you know. I think expressing that kind of energy, that wild, free energy through the old throat chakra is really alleviating sometimes, especially after feeling like you're in a tense situation, because that's often, you know, what the kind of in those sorts of situations, we feel like we can't express ourselves in the way that we want to, in that fun, playful way, or even in that just honest and serious way, or whatever way. We kind of go a bit monotonal in our space, and kind of end up being mossed out. I don't know why mossed out is a word. Mossed out isn't even a word, but like submerged by the foliage that is all going around us, and the foliage being the other people, and kind of smothering us in a bit of a way, or meaning that we can't breathe properly. Yeah, and breath work obviously is quite important as well when you take yourself out of these spaces. If it has been a bit intense and you're just like feeling that sort of horrible feeling in the heart that is like a frozen heart, you know, because of either your your friends or your creative pursuits or whatever seems to have dried up, that sort of horrible, like, oh, is this the end? I know, you know, that sounds extreme, but that's, you know, that kind of feeling happens to me all the time, and the way that I get through it is kind of like slow baby breaths, and then maybe I will say things like I will vent to myself, and then I'll be like, I fucking love you. I fucking love you, Isaac. And I understand why this is such a crazy situation, and we can go through it together, you know. We can pull some cards, we can meditate, we can do all the things, and then we can come back with our energy replenished, with our modus operandi in check, so to speak. So yeah, that's kind of what I'd recommend here. All right, so that's kind of like, I mean, this reading is about endings and beginnings. So we've been talking a lot about kind of, I guess, endings or temporary. I'd have to say this is, for most of you, this is like temporary. Oh my god, temporary endings. And what about temporary beginnings or permanent beginnings? Because endings are beginnings as well. What about when we're coming back into the situation where we're re-entering and seeing, going back into the creative, creative pursuit, or the partner that we love very much, or the friends that we have a lot in common with and vibe with a lot. What about then? What energy should we embrace going back in so that we can reintegrate? Because sometimes the thing I find, especially after doing this sort of taking myself out and then individuating, going back in sometimes can still, even though my mindset is now feeling much better, it can still feel like there's a clash just because I have individuated from the collective there a bit, and then when I come back in, it's like there's this sort of both within me and also sometimes when other people who may have just seen you get up and walk out the room without a particular reason, there's sometimes a bit of still a clash. So how do we get from this kind of close to the kind of this kind of slightly hectic energy into a more balanced state now that we're in a more balanced state, Spirit? I would like to know. Page of Cups and King of Pentacles. So yeah, we go in being honest. We go in being honest and saying exactly what happened, and that that sort of response, as long as you got the right creative, as long as you got a healthy relationship with your creative pursuit, your partner, your friends, your job, that is going to bring about the King of Pentacles, which is quite a sort of a space provider in some respect for growth, and a diplomatic space where these sorts of conversations can be had with honesty and without too much explosiveness on the part of others, as long as they're obviously not about to explode themselves and walk out the room themselves. I mean, sometimes I've had relationships where it feels like I will like get to the point where I need to leave, and then I'll come back, and then the other person has just got to the point where they need to leave, and that can be tricky, because it's like you're becoming your energy is like going like this. So but I would say with the Page of Cups coming in with honest emotions, it's very unlikely that would kind of happen for long or happen at all, because honesty does bring about balance, even though the honesty can sometimes hurt yourself or even others a little bit, but hopefully just not in a way that is not that is, hopefully it will help in a way that is helpful, if you get what I mean, rather than in a don't be brutally honest, maybe be softly honest. I mean, people always say the truth hurts, and I have a bit of a conflictual relationship with that statement, because the truth can hurt, but it can also be wonderful and beautiful, a bit like death and life. The truth of the fact that we're all going to die is at first a very painful idea, but then once you kind of go past that and into the tranquility and stillness and peace of death, after the body has actually dropped, so to speak, then that's actually a really wonderful, beautiful thing to be looked forward to and to be cherished, that we get a break, we get a divine rest, and that the energy just carries on. Energy never dies. Ten of Wands. What's this about? Yeah, we get a rest from the Ten of Wands of life. The chaos of existence. The Kali, the Kali Yuga. and then I got six of wands in reverse, which is kind of hold your horses again. Yeah, we got to cherish that hold your horses energy. We really have, and it's hard for me to do that. I find it hard. I've got a creative project that I've had to hold my horses on a bit for the past few months, and there's been times that that's really tested my my ego and my trust, and my own sort of sense of self even seems to fall away a bit. And it's like, why am I sacrificing this? Why am I giving to all these other things? But time and time again, I come back to this stillness and realize that I'm actually learning so much more about this project that I'm working on, and there's so many more ideas, ways to do it, and fresh fresh energies coming in, both from other people and from myself and from the nature spirits, from the universe, and that is creating a much more diverse story for me. That when I do go back into it, which I do hope is soon, it will feel very fresh and very liberating for me to be able to work on the project in a way that I just would not have known how to do before. I would have been very much in that sort of Four of Pentacles energy of like holding on tightly to what I already knew how to do. You know, what I already knew how to do. It's like a comic, so what I knew how to draw, how to tell the story, and doing it in the ways that I'd done it for the past few years. Whereas now I've got all these different options of how I can make this story a reality, which is super exciting. So I feel this energy for the collective too, that there's your like I say, your whatever it is that you're working on right now is kind of evolving in a pretty in a softly drastic way, and that this is why it's so important to hold off and hold your horses in this kind of space, because the universe can't kind of give you all the messages at once. It has to kind of give them to you in bite sizes and breadcrumbs kind of thing, but positive breadcrumbs. Is that right? I mean, that's my sort of take on Queen of Wands. Yeah, that's my sort of take on what's going on for me right now, and I feel like that might be what's going on for you. And Queen of Wands very much speaks of having that sort of really knowing your desires and really being at one with your sort of intuitive side, and how that intuitive side, you know, of holding off even though you know that you want something from the bottom of your heart, or not holding off when the time is right. That's what the Queen of Wands energy represents. Yeah. All right, let's what was that? Nothing. Oh no, here it is. What was that? Oh, Seven of Swords, trickery. What's this? Ooh. King of Wands. Okay, so yeah, the trickery. There's kind of a balance here between Queen and King, and in between the middle is the kind of what you could maybe call a trickster energy, which is the energy of the universe, the energy of life. Sometimes can be very, like I say, quite sort of sends you on so many side quests, so many little paths that you never thought you were going to take, and that are almost, if you're in the wrong mindset, seem completely unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted. But I mean, the truth of the matter is that if we are exploring life in a way that is more spirally and more left, right, rather than trying to just go straight up in the patriarchal sense of, let's go up to the top. I'm going to work my way up to the top of my career. I'm going to work my way up to the top of this relationship. Whatever, I'm going to gain control. That is an old mentality that we are being asked to leave behind in this space, because the universe goes like this rather than like this. There is obviously divine energy that does flow up like this, but I feel like us as the mortal human beings kind of go like this and observe that divine energy. It's not exactly our place to be able to go like it kind of sends us, it's harder to work with, shall we say, in this space and this time. I don't know whether that's the case for all times. Yeah, I'm not sure whether there might be times where it is, straightforward go energy is good. But yeah, we're just being asked to swirl and twirl and do the dance and do the jig. Yeah. My beard feels so soft. Okay. How to know then, Spirit, when to go? This is a good question. How to know? How is best for us to know when to kind of go straight forward in that Knight of Swords energy of like, and how to know when to swirl and side quest. What would be a good indicator, or what would be a good way for us to kind of feel into the energy and know which way to go? Okay, five of wands is kind of, I would say that's if you're experiencing kind of fighting and conflict and or energy, like I say, friction energy, that's a sure sign that Spirit's asking you to kind of go a bit more flowy with your life. But let's see if Spirit's asking you to go straight forward. Balance. Two of Pentacles. That's when you feel like Two of Pentacles energy of being able to be more like this, but hold the scales in your hand, and there's equal weights. That's when you go forward. Oh, that makes so much sense. That's when you go forward, straight forward, rather than doing the dance, because in that energy you're balanced, and the train's not gonna topple over or tip over, basically, and yeah, that's when we find that sort of enough inner peace, enough inner tranquility to be able to smoothly and kind of with purity go forward. And that's a very fulfilling feeling when we do go forward in that state, because especially after being in this state of jiggledy piggledy, like we get so much more done, and it suddenly feels like the world's like bringing us all these new opportunities and stuff, and it kind of brings that sense of control, I guess, to our lives, which is, I don't think we should feel like we are always out of control. There's just times where we have to kind of let it be a bit and let the universe kind of show us a few things, and then from that we can establish that healthy sort of control and validate our ego and then go forward with serenity. Yeah. Okay, I like this. Anything else, Spirit? Ace of Swords. And then that's when we get that's when we get the big new ideas. Okay. Let me just think about if there's anything else I want to ask. I might just ask the nature spirits about this sort of whole everything we've gone over so far, and just see if they have anything else to say before I close the message. So yeah, for the highest good of all nature spirits, the lovely, lovely oak trees and the mosses, the incredible lichens. Oh my days, some of the lichens around here are amazing. There's some really rare lichens that are like not common anywhere else in the UK that are here, right around me. Like, how lucky am I? Like it or not, lichen or not. I am a lucky man right here, sitting amongst the lichens and the ferns as well. So I feel like the nature spirits are kind of happy to be acknowledged, and just feel that they are, the more that we kind of are able to be at one and feel their energy, they feel validated and feel seen just like we do. So Five of Swords came out. Let's see what this is about. Nature spirits. Two of Cups. Five of Swords and Two of Cups. This is exactly what we've been talking about all along. This kind of, I feel for a lot of you, it is kind of being able to, you have a partner or a friend that you love very much, but you kind of are finding yourself kind of being a bit. Don't get me wrong. This like I feel like it's kind of a needy energy, but this is needy energy is totally like it comes from a place of maybe of trauma of being left behind or being left out in the cold. And when we do suddenly get this amazing sort of relationship, we just want to be with them all the time, even when we're in our heart. We realize that we actually kind of want to be alone or want to do some spiritual stuff or do some creative stuff or what have you. And um, we're just being, nature spirits are just saying here, like Five of Swords, conflict will occur if we don't, ultimately, if we don't listen to that heart, and that will potentially, bring in past problems into this present relationship, which really doesn't have to happen at all, or not in a way that is going to destroy the relationship. I mean, I would argue that if we can maintain that balance of the Two of Pentacles and kind of be a bit more zen, shall we speak, about being with the one that we love the most, then we can kind of we can find ourselves in a space where we just where we can feel the energy, and we can feel if there's trouble ahead and know how to go around that trouble or navigate it in a way that is not conflictual, not like a China in a bull shop, or a fucking hell, I'm doing a bull in a China shop. Oh my days, that's crazy. 13 Moon Tarot literally made the same mistake as me saying China in a bull shop, and here I am saying the same thing. So yeah, maybe we're experiencing a bit of Taurus energy in the shadow here. Although obviously I absolutely love 13 Moon Tarot's readings. I think that can be, like, I've literally listened to her for years. She's one of the best tarot readers out there. But yeah, there's kind of that energy of explosions and explosive energy, and knowing that there's like this feeling, this energy kind of brewing like a thunderstorm coming from a distance, and just validating it, and also maybe being able to work with this partner, this creative pursuit, this job, and kind of ask them or try and understand what is the best course of action to do when the other is feeling in that state. Because we've been talking a lot about when we feel in that state, but also the other person, or the creative pursuit. Even I talk to my creative pursuit all the time. Like I talk to my drawings and my cartoons and my characters. I ask them questions and stuff all the time in my head and through the tarot. So it's I would say when we can tell that the other thing, and it's not us, that when the other thing is kind of tripping out a bit, maybe if we're quite new to the relationship, it might be that we have to just let the person do their thing, separate, go away, and then when they come back, then in a really soft and gentle way, kind of navigate how is best to approach them when they're in that sort of state. Because sometimes I've found when people get a bit or their shadow's triggered, or they kind of become a bit something is triggered, basically, the very fact that you start asking them, or notice that and ask them whether they're all right and stuff like that, that can sometimes make it much worse, and can make it, they might explode on you, or might it might just aggravate the situation. But then at the same time, there's the problem of, if you stand back and kind of look at them from a place of just like holding your horses. I don't know how many times I'm going to say holding your horses, but like kind of letting them do their thing, that can be perceived by them as indifference. So it's like, how do you get to that in-between state where you're not coming in and smothering them with your over-mothering energy, but also not just leaving them to kind of be fed to their own inner wolves. how do you get to that in-between space? Can we ask that spirit and nature spirits? Can we ask, how do you get that to that in-between space where the person, and this, it really is starting to feel like a person now more than a creative pursuit or a job. I mean, it could be those as well, but I'm just most resonating with a person. 8 of Swords, so we need to take that blindfold off. Okay, let's get more. And have a look around our surroundings. And then 9 of Wands. Hold on. Okay, and then 2. Ooh, okay, here we go. And then we got oh no, the Star, Death and oh my days. The Star, Death and Temperance. So yeah, all right, I get it. Yeah, because this is the friction. 8 of Swords and 9 of Wands is like kind of like, it feels opposite energies to me. I don't know why, but it's like 8 of Swords is being folded and unable to see, and kind of in that state of impartiality and indifference and kind of lost in a sense. And then 9 of Wands is holding on tightly to something, but maybe holding on too tightly, because you might create the 10 of Wands, which is exhaustion and fatigue. So these two energies that are kind of you and them should be, according to Spirit here, should be kind of best mitigated with the Star, Death and Temperance. So the Star is knowing your inner power, knowing your inner wisdom, the fact that you've come down from the heavens and you've come up from the earth, and you're now here in in the present space. And Death is transforming those energies into tranquility, like I was saying before, into stillness and serenity. And then Temperance is the balance, the angelic balance, making sure that there's a sort of a transmutation process that can work, and that's what we need to be able to deal with these sorts of ups and downs in our relationships with people, these sorts of finicky energies, shall we say. Yeah, how can I explain this better, Spirit? Because that was very metaphorical. Just saw the Chariot. Okay. Judgment. Okay, yeah. Judgment is very much like being realizing that, the time has come, the end is nigh. And this is the time that we need to sit down and softly transmute the energies into a lovely cup of divine water, as we see in the Temperance, pouring that sort of the water from one jug into another. We can offer our energy of peace and serenity into to the other person, and hopefully they will be able to kind of hopefully that will help them. Hopefully that will make them feel better about themselves and about the relationship and about you. And also it gives them space to, because sometimes people will get a bit funny, and then you realize that the reason they've got funny is because there's something you said that was that offended them, or something like that, and that needs to be talked through in a soft and a soft space where those feelings can be heard without causing further offence. But yeah, I would just suggest when these kinds of things happen and people are offended by you, or do find that there's something that you've done or said that is not, that doesn't resonate with them or whatever, do kind of sit in that star energy whilst you hear those things. Don't get triggered by their the fact that they took your message the wrong way, or what have you. Don't get affected by that, because we're going to be able to work through those things ourselves and make sure that we show up better for others if we maintain that inner light and inner power, inner sort of knowing of our true potential and our true specialness, uniqueness and everything, and stuff like that. If we stay in that energy, that will help aid the transmutation of the process, rather than being, because for me, when people used to bring up, or people be like, oh, I didn't like what you said there, then I would get super apologetic to the point where it would actually just be self-sabotage. Rather than working through it, I'd just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, in like a way that's actually angry, which is really not good. That's not a good way to respond at all. And that's just basically someone's triggered over here, and then now I'm triggered. So what we need is literally oh, there's a mouse there. There's a little mouse. Oh my days. What we need is for the mouse to not take the cheese, and for us to kind of work through it in a diplomatic and adult way, as much as we can still embody our inner child and stuff like that in these sorts of situations. It's just often these wounds that, when people are offended by us, or don't like the way that we said something or did something, often that will trigger something way back from childhood when those sorts of situations happened. And it's just good to kind of maybe think back to those times and try and think of an example of where that maybe happened, or the first time that happened, whether often it would be with parents or with a teacher, but sometimes with other kids as well. And just validate that expression, and kind of release it, exercise it, into the heavens. Let it know that it's seen, basically, is the way that we transmute shadow elements, because they're all these little bits of light energy, aliveness, and kind of universal energy that are just trapped in these little bubbles of darkness, of not being seen, of not being observed, not being felt, and they just want to be understood. They want to be understood and seen, and then at that point they can raise up, and that's when the treasure, the treasure that we find in the darkest place comes up. Oh, that's so brilliant. I love that. Okay, let's get a closing card then, and then we're going to close the reading out. Wheel of Fortune. Let's go. Let's do it. So, Wheel of Fortune, this is how, what I've just described, this is how the wheel keeps on turning, and how we don't end up like this poor fella who's like falling off the wheel. Like all the people fighting, we want to be the one down there turning the wheel with the blindfolds on, basically, with that kind of not indifference, but just being able to embody that sort of almost Buddhist mentality of knowing our desires, but then also not completely always acting strong from obsessive sort of places or shadow places or anything like that. Like these two fellas on the wheel, we want to observe the wheel as it turns from a grounded place, because if we're sat on the wheel, we're not grounded. We're not like, and there's a risk that we're literally going to fall off a cliff. The Wheel of Fortune is such a slippery energy, but it really isn't if you maintain that contact with Mother Earth, that grounding, that not isolation, that sort of introspective sort of energy that I would argue most people don't give themselves the permission to live in so much. We are least alone when we're alone. There's literally a song that I was listening to just earlier, which was called something like that. It's by Future Sound of London, which is a band that I've loved for many years. We are least isolated when we are alone. We have all of nature around us to talk to. We have our cards. We have our own mind, our different parts of our mind. The inner child, the inner parents, the hermit, the all the archetypes. I don't want to go into them too many, because there's we all have our individual archetypes, and they're all super funky and super cool. And these constantly evolving things are kind of what are manifesting evolution and growth into our universe, and getting rid of the old archetypes that are no longer useful, you know, for our collective consciousness. Like, yeah, I like it. I like this. Thank you for being a part of this space with me, and it's honestly been a pleasure to read for this kind of collective today. It's such a cool energy that I really resonate with. So with that being said, thank you so much. I really love you lots, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.